Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Nothing worse than being so unprofessional and turning your intro music off before you should have done. But that's the delights of sitting here, playing with buttons, getting confused. It's live. And then it'd be recorded, then it'd be out there. Anyway, thank you for joining me again on the Sutherland Report, on that quick Sutherland Report. One of the wonderful things about this is that you can invite friends on to have a discussion about really important issues that are happening on the other side of the pond, on this side of the pond, and around the world. So I'm just going to bring on Patrick Reilly with a huge thanks. Patrick, thank you. Sorry about that. Bit of a introduction cock up, as we say on this side of the pond, but it's that's how it is after a long day. It's late. I'm recording this late. Your time, you're about 5 or 6 hours behind me, so that's great. Patrick, thank you. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you are well on your side of the pond. So thank you.
Well, thanks, Mark, for having me. I sure do appreciate having these conversations, and I look forward to this.
Good. Well, I mean, I'll just underline it. I think these conversations are really important. I think conversation, period, is important, and something that's not necessarily. I do understand it, but a bit of an issue at the moment where I'm discussing this with a few people, which is about men's mental health. And I think one of the important things that helps men's mental health is to actually have a discussion, is to talk about frustration, as I feel certain frustrations with the politics on this side of the pond, and I end up ranting and raving badly. Sir, I want to discuss with you and get your opinion on the border crisis that's happening on your southern border in Texas. And we are fully aware that we have a border crisis on down south in the channel. From the channel, for those people that are geography impaired, is between France and in England. It's where we floated over the Marlborough Harbours in 1944, and very brave American soldiers helped us to invade, to say the least, and paid a great price to invade Europe and to beat Hitler. So that's historically is one of the biggest, most busiest sea lanes. So on your Mexican border, and there's a lot of developments that have gone on over the last week, etc. So, what's your opinion? What is going on? Because it sounds like very sounds like the kind of thing that Cloward and Piven would highly approve of. We can expand on that. But what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I think that it's obviously a crisis on the border. I think that even both sides can agree on that. We have to do something about immigration in this country. And if you look at the polls, everybody agrees that the immigration crisis is the thing that we need to fix. Okay, so it's like the most important issue that you can possibly find in American politics is immigration, right? The crazy thing is we can fix it. We really can fix it, right? And there's a bill in the Senate right now that would fix it. And Mitch McConnell and Bernie Sanders actually agree on a bill that would fix it.
Right.
Unfortunately, there are people in the House of Representatives who are going to kill it. So we can't fix a problem because it's an election year. And because in an election year, you're not allowed to fix problems. And this is a major problem in American politics, is that during election years, we don't fix shit. We just make bigger problems. So that's what's screwing up this whole thing. We could fix it. We could absolutely fix it, except that we won't. We're snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Like, that's just the way we do things in American politics. And I know, maybe in across the pond, you might not understand that, that's how kind of how we do things in this country. And I'm not saying it's good. It's asinine completely, but yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
I hear you, because in one sense it's like the length of time, isn't it, where people are, they're doing the primaries, they're wondering who they're going to choose to be the front runner, for argument's sake, on the Republican side, even though we know who the front runner is. But the fact is, you're talking about time, aren't you? You're talking about the length of time. You're talking about the absorption of that. Could you explain to me then the bill that is in the Senate is going to go towards Congress? Could you explain what that bill is?
So yeah, the bill basically it does a couple of things. One, the most important thing that it does is says that if we have more than 5,000, migrants attempting to cross, not actually crossing, but attempting to cross the border, we just shut the border down, right? So any day, any given day that we have 5,000 migrants attempting to cross, we shut the whole thing down. And there's basically like I think it's a 14-day period where we say, all right, no more, and we're gonna deal with this thing. That's something that the Republicans have been asking for a long time. I'm okay with that. That's good with me. I'm for zero illegal immigration, and I think that this gets us much closer toward that than any bill we've ever had, previously. So I don't understand why any Republican would vote against it, because it's a really good idea. It's a good bill. So let's do that. And the
Why do you think? Why do you?
I'll sign
Sorry.
it. I'll sign it.
Right.
Joe Biden has said, I will sign this bill. Just give it to me, put it on my desk, and I will sign it. So, I mean, let's take yes for an answer. Like, for the love of God, like, can we just say yes and fix the fucking problem? I don't understand why we don't.
Well, I'm going to ask you, why don't we? So let's go through this. If we go back to President Reagan's time, and there was, and I'm trying to think of the year, but there was an
1986.
1986. Thank you.
Yeah.
So there was an amnesty given. What was the situation then? What was the build-up? What was going on, do you think, at that time?
In 1986, we had an influx of people coming through the Mexican border that was obviously an issue that we had to deal with. And President Reagan at the time dealt with it in the best way that he could. He and Tip O'Neill, who was the Speaker of the House at the time, dealt with it in a rational, rational way. Was it the best, like the best bill that we could have written at the time? Probably not. No, but it wasn't. People call it an amnesty bill. It wasn't really an amnesty bill. It was not. It was an imperfect bill, but whatever. Like, what we're talking about now is much more strict than what Reagan signed in 1986.
Right.
So the idea that we can't do this right now is just absurd. It's absolutely ridiculous.
So why did they call Reagan's an amnesty bill in 1986?
Because people like Ann Coulter and decided that it was a good way to make money to call it an amnesty bill. It's not an amnesty bill. It was an imperfect bill, but not an amnesty bill. Right. It's hyperbole. It's silliness to call it amnesty. But that's what, hey, you can make some money selling some books doing that. So, yeah, they did.
Right. So you're referring to a book that she must have written about it, or a chapter on it. And then
she wrote 7 books about it.
Did she? Did she? But that is interesting. She wrote 7 books about it. Well, is there enough material to write 7 books about it?
No, but you can make material if you want.
Okay, it's very interesting because Ann Coulter is another subject for another day, I think, because it's very interesting to watch her sort of political walk, isn't it? And who she's then critical of going from very pro-Trump, for argument's sake, to not being very pro-Trump. But understandably, I mean, borders are there for a reason. So why I'm trying, trying to calmly do this, but why is the border so loose? Who does it benefit then, having a loose border, having this huge influx of people, immigrants, illegals? And we are talking something very different between illegal and legal. We have exactly the same issue here. But when we've seen how many thousands in months, in 6 months, in a year?
Yeah.
What do they reckon? 2 million people, something coming over the border over the last few years. It's
Yeah, I mean the people who benefit from illegal immigration are big farmers because they employ almost completely illegal immigrants. That's
right,
what it is. And
right,
all of them vote Republican, which is hilarious
yeah,
when you actually
mm,
so you people Republicans love to say that, hey, it's Democrats who want illegal immigration. Well, it's Republicans who employ them. That's what it is, right?
mm.
So if you think that white Americans who are born in this country are going to pick watermelons or lettuce, you're a fucking idiot. Like, I mean, that's just how it works. Like,
Mm.
I don't even want to hear, like, if you say that to me, I don't need to have any more conversation with you because you're obviously an imbecile, right? So the reality is that Republicans actually want illegal immigration more than Democrats do. And that's a dirty secret of American politics. Nobody wants to admit it, but it's true. That's just the way it is. So I don't want any illegal immigration. I want legal immigration. And I think that honestly, if we had a decent guest worker program, we could have legal immigration to do jobs that frankly Americans are not going to do. And anybody who's reasonable understands we don't want to do those jobs. We're not going to do those jobs, right?
Mm. Mm.
If we had that along with good border security, and you want to put a wall up, okay, fine, put a wall up. You want to put razor wire up, knock yourself out. We can do that, right? But we got to have a guest worker program that makes sense. If we do all of that together, we could fix this problem, and it would go away almost immediately.
Well, I, as an observer on the outside, and then recently being on the ground, excuse me, on your side of the pond, I am deeply concerned about it for you. The amount of people coming over is off the charts. And then this is my opinion, then when you go back and you think, well, hold on a minute, what are these comments of people that work for the UN helping people that are in a caravan traveling through Ecuador to help them, to facilitate them and give them advice of how to get into America and then go from there? I'm not happy about finding out things about that, and I need to do more investigation into that. There are these long caravans. What the heck is this about? It doesn't benefit America to me. It doesn't benefit anyone. I'm very concerned about who is coming over your border. Are there terrorist associations? That is what people have been talking about. The drugs that are coming over, some of the incidents with the towns that are on the border, etc., and the crime and the killings and American suffering. I'm not happy about with this at all, Patrick. And then what about this standoff, do you think, between Governor Abbott in Texas and calling in the National Guard and doing that? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I'd like to somebody tell me when there has been a terrorist attack by somebody who came through the southern border, because it's
Right.
never
Okay.
happened.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
it's never happened. It's never
Mm,
going to happen. So this people keep saying, "Well, what about this? What about this?" I'm like, "Well, you give me some damn evidence of
mm.
this happening, and I'll be happy to have the argument with you." But until then, sorry, that's bullshit. Like it's just it hasn't happened, and I bet it's never going to happen, right? Almost everybody who's ever committed a terrorist attack in this country came here on a fucking airplane, not through the southern border. So if you think that that's a big problem, I'm sorry, I'm I'm going to say that that's ridiculous because it is, because it's never happened.
There's a video I need to forward to you because a young guy went down there, went into South America, went to Ecuador, tracing people that were then coming into your country, and there was a lot of Chinese, a lot of people from different countries from around the world, and then they will then push to come illegally into your country. That is a concern, because if we follow this up as we're finding, what does that do on the strain of resources, etc., say within Texas? I mean, this is how it's affecting your nation.
Yeah, but it actually hasn't happened, Mark. This is the problem. Like, people keep saying, "Hey, we've got terrorist cells in Texas," and I'm saying, you're going to have to prove that. You're going to have to actually give me some evidence of that. But if you can't, then you're going to have to go ahead and, I don't know, shut the fuck up, because that's ridiculous. Like, it's just not true. Like, I need evidence of a thing before I believe that a thing is true, right? And if you can't prove to me that there's an actual threat, then I don't believe there's an actual threat. You know what's the actual threat is a Mexican showing up in this country and washing dishes. Do you feel threatened by that? Because if we decide to deport every single illegal immigrant Mexican in this country, first of all, I've never met a lazy Mexican. If we decide to deport all of them, nobody is going to get to eat in a restaurant. Nobody is going to get to eat in a restaurant. Nobody is going to get their lawn fixed. Nobody's getting, I mean, these are people who come here and work their asses off, and we want to deport them for what? Why? Why would we want to deport them?
I'm not putting it aside, but the other argument is when you've got 300,000 coming over in a month, and then suddenly you're looking at the southern border, and then the increase in it's the strain of resources on the system. Do these people end up claiming on the system or not?
Strain of resources. We have all the money in the world. We're the richest country in the world. We can't take another 300,000 people. I mean, that's ridiculous, man. But we can afford it. Not only that, but they pay taxes, by the way. I mean, come on, man.
Okay, work that out. Then they end up paying taxes, or are they doing a lot of jobs for cash? Explain that one to me.
They may be doing a bunch of jobs for cash, but they're actually growing the economy. Because even if they don't, and I'm not saying, but if they don't pay taxes, they're still putting money to the economy. People are paying them. They're buying things. I mean, Jesus Christ. I've never met a lazy Mexican. They constantly work. Like, these people work like 80 hours a week. And you're telling me that there is strain on the economy? I don't think so.
No, I mean, it's interesting. Like, for argument's sake, parallel here. So at the moment we have loads of little boats that are coming over the channel. They are not allowed, even though 16,000 of them have just been given temporary visas to work. But it's not something that then is encouraged. But at the moment, we have now got thousands in hotels up and down this country. And we cannot.
You're talking about England.
England, yeah. We cannot turn the boats back. We're not doing anything about this. I am not against legal migration, but we have had the most migrants come into this country over the last 3-4 years than for 50 odd years. Now, our issue is there's 68 million of us. Then it goes, or 70 million. We see that increase. And the point I'm trying to say is that then becomes a strain on our school system, health system, etc. That's what we are then facing. And I think the other thing is we're facing when a government says, well, we're going to do something with the border, and there is nothing happening. to actually stop this. And you're right, in absolutely right. There's full agreement over here, but there is a sheer frustration that nothing is done. And we signed what's called the Global Migration Compact. America is not in it, I believe, in 2018. And we are just seeing, I feel that we're seeing migration weaponized, but quite rightly, if we're going to go and bomb a country like Libya, for argument's sake, and as Gaddafi said, you get rid of me, then we're going to have mass migration coming from North Africa. That's what we have. And the person who oversaw that, David Cameron, is now back as foreign secretary of this country. Don't get me started about that one. I'm throwing that out because it's always been said that, or it's not always been said, but the accusation has been said, Pat, that for the migration coming over the American border, they end up voting Democrat. This is what all of this is about.
They don't vote at all. They don't,
right?
Mark, they don't vote at all because they're not allowed to vote. They don't
Right.
get, you know how hard it is to actually get to vote in the United States of America? If you are an immigrant and you come over the border, right, legally or illegally or whatever, it takes like 17 years before you're actually allowed to vote. This is bullshit Republican nonsense where they say, well, you know, they're bringing them in to vote against us. Yeah, well, that's an awesome strategy if you've got 20 years to wait, but you don't have 20 years to wait. So this is nonsense. Like I people who believe that are just, I hate to say it, but fucking stupid. Like you can't actually vote in this country. I mean, you know how hard it is to actually become a naturalized American citizen? It takes forever, and there is a shitload of paperwork, right? And as far as, you know, the immigration situation in England, the country who spent its almost entire existence colonizing the rest of the world can go fuck itself. I don't care. I hope you all, like, I hope the whole country fucking blows up. I mean, seriously, like, I don't give a damn if tomorrow London explodes, like, because you deserve it at this point.
No, I don't think we do, and it's very interesting that when we discuss colonialism, but no, I don't think we do at all. But you are perfectly entitled to your opinion.
Because I know you love Oliver Cromwell and the fact that he detested Catholics and wanted us all to die and led a massacre in Drogheda where my family is actually fucking from. So yeah, I sorry, I don't have any sympathy for London, for England. I hope it sinks into the fucking sea, which is what Thomas Jefferson also thought. So
what Thomas Jefferson thought that we ought to sink into the sea.
Yes.
Well, you dealt with us under 1776, so you know a fair point. But as I wasn't around at that time. I can't be personally held responsible for that. But the whole thing of colonialism, that's another interesting subject. But there is no. We need strong borders. I mean, look, okay, you have links with Ireland. What's happening in Southern Ireland? People are quite rightly are turning around and going, no, we can't get housing. Our resources are being strained here. We've got mass migration coming in. This has to stop. It's creating pressure. It's a bit like, and I heard it from his own mouth. I think I did hear it, and I'm trying to think of where he is mayor of. I think it's in San Antonio, in Texas, where he turns around and says, "Yeah, I'm not sure if it's him." I will check, but where he this particular, it was at the Parliament of World Religions. There was a discussion amongst mayors, 2 in Canada, 2 in America, and he said our role is not to ask for papers, but to ask for how we can help. And there were 200,000 over the last, maybe more by now, but last summer up to 200,000 immigrants had actually helped. Now, people would say it's about this whole thing of strain on resources. And I suppose the reason why I threw out Cloward and Piven at you to say that if you want to change things, that is what Cloward and Piven are talking about, where you create society change by coming from creating a crisis. I wonder what your thoughts are on that, because that's how people see it on the border in Texas and on our border as well. See it as a crisis.
Well, you can see it as a crisis, and that's a reasonable position to take. But what I don't like, so it's the response that's important, right?
Right.
So what are we going to do about it? And I think that there being reactionary is a problem, right? But taking an actual like a reasonable response to it is what we have to do. And I think that the bill that has been put forth in the Senate is a reasonable reaction, right? Being reactionary is a totally different thing, right? So being reactionary is say, hey, shut the border down. We're not going to accept anybody who wants asylum. We're not going to accept anybody at all in the country. But I think what is smart is, hey, let's go ahead and have an actual border, because every country should have borders, right? We should be able to decide who gets to come in and out of the country, and we should be able to take case by case. People who claim asylum, right? And 87% of the people who actually ask for asylum get denied. So, like, I mean, we don't normally let people in, when it comes to that. But we can do better than just saying shut it all down or let everybody in, right? I mean, there has to be some sort of middle ground here, and I think we can. I think we can do that.
But how do you then, if 300,000 people are coming over the border in a month, how do you then say, okay, stop, we need to work out who you are? They're not. They're all disappearing into
I think this
the
bill
night.
does that. This
Right.
bill
Okay,
does
good.
that.
Good.
Yeah, because it gets rid of catch and release, which I think is a bad policy, right? So yeah, this bill does that. But the problem is that the Republicans in Congress are afraid that if they sign it, if they put this bill to the president and he signs it, it's a victory for Biden, and they're terrified of that because they don't want him to get reelected. So that's the thing. It's completely self-serving bullshit. Like I can't even tell you how, like, it's so silly and nonsensical that but that's what it is. They all agree with the bill. They want the bill, but they don't want to sign it while he's president. If that bill was sent to Donald Trump's desk, they would be fired up about it. They'd say, hell yeah, let's go ahead and sign it. But because Biden is president, they don't want to do it.
No, and I more than respect your opinion on that, because I want to see it signed. I don't. If observing, I can observe what's happening, maybe particularly in Texas, etc. And then if with friends in New York as well, if Abbott's shipping illegals up there to say, look, this, and I don't blame him either. We need to sort this out, and maybe you could argue he's taken far too long in regard to then saying, right, I'm now going to put the National Guard on there. We've got to put razor wire on there. This is awful. We cannot have this kind
I
of
don't think the razor wire helps anything at all. I think it just exacerbates the problem. I mean, they can do it or don't, but razor wire is not going to stop somebody. Just like a wall is not going to stop somebody from trying to jump over it, man. Like, it's sort of a silly, like, it's like a first century solution to a 21st century problem. It doesn't really actually help. You can do it. I mean, like, do I really care if they put razor wire down on it? Not really. I don't. But do I think it's helpful? No, it's not. It's not. What would be helpful is signing the fucking bill. Like, that would be helpful. Like, but You want to put razor wire? Fine. I would even trade. I would make a trade. I'd say, hey, you want the razor wire? You can have the razor wire. Can we sign the bill? Cool. Let's make a deal. And that would work for me because the bill would actually solve the problem. The razor wire doesn't, but I'll give it to you if that's what you want.
If the bill is signed tomorrow, what is then put in process? How long would it take for Biden then, for the administration to get control of the border?
I think it would happen almost immediately. I mean, it wouldn't happen the day of, but yeah, I think it would happen almost immediately. I think it's a really good bill. I think that we need to do more. We need to have a guest worker program that hasn't been outlined in this bill. But yeah, I think it would right away change a whole lot. And like I said, 87% of the people who apply for asylum don't get it. So it's not like we have a problem with we're just letting people in. But catch and release is a bad policy, and that would go away with this bill. And the Republicans have been asking for catch and release to go away for years. Well, here's your chance. This is it. Just vote for the fucking bill. I mean, like what else do you want? Like, take yes for an answer.
Catch and release. So they catch the illegal immigrants coming over the border, and then where do they release them? Into America?
Yeah, they do. And it's a bad policy. I agree. It's not a good policy, and it should go away. And this bill
what is the point of it? Sorry, Patrick. What is the point of then I'm answering the question myself because I think it's moronic. What is the point of capturing them and then releasing them?
No, it's basically because there's a small number of people who judges who do who adjudicate the whole situation, right? And a small number of border agents. So what they're basically saying is, hey, we can't handle this, so take this and fuck off, and then they don't come back. And that's why it's a bad policy, because you say catch and release, they're released into the country and then they don't show up for the court dates. Like, this is something Republicans have been complaining about for years, and they're correct. They're right about this. They people don't show up for the court dates. So this bill gets rid of that stuff. So I don't understand why they don't want to. Well, I do understand. They don't want to do it because they don't want Biden to get reelected. But this is what they've been asking for years, and they've just been given it, and now it's not good enough. It's really sucks.
Because in their eyes, as you've already said, they would then turn around and go, "Look, we've solved the crisis," which I see it as a crisis. I make no apologies for that.
It is a crisis. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, Mark, I agree with you. It is a crisis, but this is it doesn't fix all of it, but it fixes most of it. And we could just have the damn thing signed, except that Republicans don't want to do it because they don't want to lose the presidential election in 2024.
Well, they may not lose the presidential election anyway.
No, they may not. I honestly think that Trump is going to win. I think he's going to win. And if I had to bet right now on it, I would bet on Trump. But if this bill would actually get signed, I think that Biden would have a much better chance of winning. And I think that every Republican in Congress and in the Senate knows damn well that that's the case. And so they will not pass it because they're terrified that President Biden will get reelected.
Well, I have to say they're not the only ones. I would be rather terrified, but that's my opinion.
Terrified? Why terrified?
I don't want to see him elected at all. But I mean,
why would you be terrified? I mean, I can understand you not liking him, but terrified? Really?
Well, the thing is, I mean, the president of the United States has always been seen as leader of the free world. That's my
Yeah.
concern. That's why I'm then terrified with various other things that are going on and various actions. So I'm concerned about
How
that.
is he any different than Bill Clinton? Because he's basically the same guy. Like
Mm.
Bill Clinton and Joe Biden are identical. Like they're not any different. So what scares you about Joe Biden that didn't scare you about Bill Clinton?
Well, it's very interesting because retrospectively, I look back on Clinton, and I look at NAFTA and GAFTA and all the rest, and
Yeah.
the undermining. Um, no, I did not have sex with that woman. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely
But
right.
that
When you
bothers you. The fact that he fucked Monica Lewinsky pisses you off. But the
no,
fact that
I have to say,
Donald
yeah.
Trump has done all kinds of sexual, like, that doesn't bother you, but the Bill Clinton stuff bothers you.
Can I? I mean, I mean,
Sure.
in regard to what's it, Carol? That's another issue. And no, they're not they're, Trump, of course, is not perfect. He wasn't doing that while he was in the White House. The problem with Bill Clinton is, Monica Lewinsky, Jennifer, Janika Broderick, Flowers, and Miss Jones. There is a problem. There is also a problem in regard to, and as you know, I don't know if you've met Juanita. We know, another mutual friend has, but the key thing is that sadly, it's when when his wife covered up his particular behavior, which is, there's a record there. There is a record there, and that is concerning. But politically, NAFTA, GAFTA, he wonderfully played the saxophone. Everyone loved the guy, to be honest. But then when you reflect, and I wasn't, on a personal level, wasn't so much into American politics then, and then you start to look back, and then it's rather concerning. But his sexual behavior cannot be denied at all. Um, but it's the left. It's the ethos. You're right when you're comparing Biden, who's supposed to be this amazing man in regard to foreign policy, and the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Yes, I can understand on one level of getting people out. It's how you then do it, and and then that's extremely sad. There is a long discussion in regard to that. But I I genuinely feel this for the guy, because when he's standing in front of a teleprompter and he is not being able to read things properly, or forget things, or forget to walk off the stage and all the rest, genuinely that concerns me, and health
It
wise.
doesn't concern you at all that Donald Trump over the last couple of weeks has outright misconstrued Nancy Pelosi and Nikki Haley. That he is straight up, like, if you listen to him, he's slurring his speech. He's a straight up, like, the man is an imbecile, and I've known this for anybody who grew up in the Northeast in America has known that Trump is what's the technical term is a shithead. But he's always been that way. He's always been that way, and for some reason, the rest of the world, or the whatever, thinks that he's some sort of sharp guy, like that he knows what's going on. The man is a fucking moron, and we've all known this forever. And somehow now we're talking about Joe Biden as an idiot. Joe Biden's always had a stutter. Joe Biden has always been a gaffe machine. Anybody who's paid attention to American politics over the last 40 years understands that Joe's going to say some dumb shit. He's not the smartest guy in the room. Nobody has
No,
ever accused
no.
him of
Mm,
being the smartest guy in the room,
mm,
right?
mm.
But Donald Trump is a pernicious fucking scumbag. He's always been a scumbag, right? So we all know this. We all grasp this. Like, the idea that you could possibly look at that man and not think that he is a piece of shit is difficult for me to understand. It really is.
Well, I have to profoundly disagree with you. And as I say, you are perfectly entitled to your opinion. I can sit here and go, Mr. Biden, why did you lie about your particular results when you were studying for a lawyer and being at top of the class and all the rest? The fact that way you went after the guy, I'm trying to think of the black judge within the Supreme Court, and the way you went after him.
Clarence
And
Thomas.
there was Clarence Thomas. To me, there is a long list of things. Hunter Biden, the laptop. That's another very interesting
So
story
your
as
kid
well.
being an asshole is your problem?
Hold on a minute. Yes, it is as well, because the fact is,
Really?
well, I will say, Patrick, one of the amazing delights of talking to you is I'm over here, you're over there, so to speak, and we can say that. But no, the Hunter Biden laptop, you know as well as I do that if well, maybe you don't, you don't, but so the information on there, etc., the whole dealings of concern about in regard to China and various dealings.
Okay,
Suddenly you're
specifically, what
hold
dealings
on.
on?
Suddenly you're on the board of Burisma and being paid a heck of a lot of money, even though you don't have any experience within the oil company. But it's
Yes.
about access, and that does concern me.
Okay, but you have to actually tell me what. Okay, so you're saying that he traded on his father's name. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I would find it hard to believe that Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump or any of his kids have never traded on their father's name. That, first of all, is just laughable. Okay, but second of all, what did he actually do? What's on the laptop that's actually illegal? You tell me exactly what crime that you can see on that laptop is something I should be concerned about. You tell me. Go ahead right now.
Because it's about the particular pictures pornographically, etc., and
Because
various
he got
other
a
things.
foot job. Because
Hold on.
he fucked an Asian girl. Like, I mean, seriously, is any of that illegal?
The fact is, it's what
Yeah,
is on. Hold on. Yeah, but it's what. No, but you and I are never going to agree on this, because the other thing, when you're going on about Trump, and I'm not avoiding this question, when you're going on about
yes,
Trump,
you
I
are.
look at Biden's your opinion. I look at Biden's career, and I think all you've done is been a politician all your life. What particular real job have you actually done? And I'm rather concerned about that. I'm also rather concerned about some of his particular behavior. But going back to Biden's laptop, the stuff that is on there, I'm sorry, that was covered up by the media. That would have created a lot of questions at the time, because the illusion is access of the amount of money then that Biden has been accused of taking, that's ended up in his bank account from Chinese sources. So people are paying for access. That is the concern.
How much money has Jared Kushner gotten from the Saudi Arabian fucking government over the last how many years? I mean, you seriously are not upset about that, but you're upset about the Chinese government giving money to Hunter Biden. And I still want to know. I just want somebody, just one right winger, for the love of Christ, to tell me, what did Hunter Biden do that is illegal and that you found on that laptop? Just give me something. Just one fucking thing. Just one. That's all. Just one. Please. For the love of God.
I think what people are angry with, and I think understandably, you're right. You're trading on your dad's name, but it's how
Which
you
is
then
not.
yes, but it's how you then trade on that. I don't think this. Hold on. I personally don't. I'm sure you haven't. But the fact, and listen, what you've said about Don Jr., whatever, that is another subject. Okay, fair enough. But the fact is, but people have also got to stand on their own 2 feet. The issue is what is the actual pictures, etc.
Rich people
that
don't
are
have
on
to
there.
stand on their own 2 feet. Donald Trump didn't have to stand on his own 2 feet. He stood on the shoulders of Fred Trump. He made his money because his dad was rich. He's a fucking rich kid who never had to do anything. He was born with a silver spoon up his ass, and so was his son, and so was their son. Like this drives me absolutely crazy. These people are just rich because their father was rich and their father was rich. And I just can't stand it because I'm working class, right? I have working class tattooed on my fucking chest because that's important to me. But these people, man, they don't know anything. And anybody who thinks that Donald Trump is actually cares about the working class in this country has their head way up their fucking
All right.
ass.
Why do you say that? Why do you actually say if he doesn't care about the working class in this country? What about the amount of people that he has then employed? Why do you actually say that? Why has it been important to him? And also in the past, before he became president, people like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton celebrated the fact that he would employ Black Americans, that he would give to the particular charities,
Well,
foundations,
I
and
can
whatever.
answer that question. So,
Go
first of all, I think Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton are assholes.
on.
Second of all, Barbara Ress, who worked for Donald Trump for a very long time, who was in charge of creating Trump Tower, said in several interviews that he couldn't stand the idea of being around the workers who actually built Trump Tower when they had an event at the end, like to celebrate the building of the tower. He's also been sued, like I don't even know how many times, by union workers, because he didn't pay them. Right? He had Polish workers in the early 1980s that he refused to pay. Right? And actually had them living in the damn building that they were building, right? This is all well documented, right? The man hates workers, right? We've all understood that from New York City to New Jersey to this is not this has not even been we've all known this, right? I don't understand how people could be so behind Trump and not know this stuff. Like he's been sued and lost lawsuits for this shit for a long, long time. And the fact that you don't even know that is sort of disturbing to me, Mark, because I'm like, come on, man. Like we all know this. Like this has been going on since he ran the Taj Mahal. He ran it like a sweatshop. Workers absolutely hated him. Hated him. He's been sued by unions forever. Like, I mean, what the fuck are we even talking about? I think this bothers me.
Well, we could say various things about Biden, but I will say this to you. I I I want to see all that. I want to see that. Definitely. I want to see that.
How the
I
fuck
want
do you not know that already?
well, because I don't. Okay, I don't know
Yeah.
that. But I would then want to see that. I would like to see that evidence. I mean, that's one of the reasons why you and I have a discussion. We're not afraid to have a discussion, and we'll have a discussion time and time again, you know, because if I then criticize Biden, you and others get upset about that. I've got
You
my
can.
reasons for
Hey,
saying that.
I'm not saying that anything you said about Joe Biden is untrue. I'm not saying
Mm,
that he hasn't made mistakes in the past. He has, but the fact that you don't even understand what I'm talking about when it comes to Trump is just like this drives me crazy when I go to events and I talk
right,
to
right.
Trumpists,
Mm,
and they have no fucking idea who the man is. When I say, hey, he was sued by the federal government for race discrimination in the 1980s and settled for it and admitted that he did actually discriminate against black people in Queens. And they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And I'm like, "Why the fuck don't you know that? Like, this is well documented stuff. Like, this is my God, it makes me insane. Like, I just don't understand how you don't know anything about the guy you're actually voting for. Like, how in the hell? And that's why I know it's a cult. It's a cult because people don't actually even give a damn about the shit that actually happened to the guy that they're actually voting for. It makes me nuts.
But it's a really interesting you use that word, because the thing of cult, we would then project that on the other side. And it's a very, very interesting word. But I would turn around and go, right, no, I'll look at that. Yeah, there are certain things that I have heard of. Say that last thing you're talking about. Yeah, you've heard of that. Then I need to go down the rabbit warren and know far more about that, because that is happening on both sides. Why does it, Patrick? Why does it absolutely wind you up? Why does it wind you up? What is it?
Because you know what drives me crazy, Mark, is that I genuinely like you, and I think you're a really smart guy, and I respect you, and it just, like, I find it hard to understand how you can come from a different, like, how you don't understand how stupid this motherfucker is. Like, I don't get that, because you're not stupid. Like, you're a smart guy. Like, why do you want to support this fucking moron? Like, it's difficult for me to understand. That's what kind of drives me crazy. It's what gives me what we call agita. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And it's not like having a different opinion on, like, political issues, like how levels of taxation and things of that nature, and stuff. Like, we used to normally have arguments about that. And I can totally understand how you could think I'm wrong about that and whatever. But about this one thing, this scumbag, like, why you disagree with me on that is really hard to understand.
Why? Right. Okay. So not necessarily putting the personality aside, and we're going to have to end in a few minutes, not because I want to get out of the conversation, but we're coming up to the hour. But economically, then, what are the parallels economically with how America is doing now than under the Trump administration when he was president from 16 to 20? What?
Yeah, well, that's easy to respond to, because we had 3.3% GDP growth in the last quarter, and we had almost 5% GDP growth in the quarter before that. So we're doing far better than we ever did under Trump. And I understand. I'm going to go ahead and throw out the pandemic, quarters. That obviously in 2020, I'm not going to put that on Trump. That was going to happen to any president, regardless of who it was. But we've actually had more growth under Biden. I understand inflation went up and gas prices went up, but they also both came really far down, right? So the idea that we were, that Trump was a better, president as far as the economy goes is not true. And also, anybody who understands economics, and I do understand economics. Anyone who understands it understands that the president has very little to do with the economic growth, and as far as in gas prices and the Dow Jones, right? So Biden could say, hey, look, we've had a record Dow Jones, every single day, I think for the last like 2 weeks, we've had record Dow highs, right? But that's not due to Biden, right? when we had lows during, Obama, that wasn't him. Like, this is bullshit. Like, to take credit for it is ridiculous, and to take blame for it is also ridiculous. So, and same thing with gas prices. Gas prices, the president has almost no control over gas prices. So, we can listen to Trump say, "Oh well, it was $1.87 under me," which was only one day, by the way. It was like one day, But you can take that credit, but you know what? It was always going to go back up because OPEC was going to raise prices after the pandemic ended. So this is all bullshit. Like, anybody who actually believes that gas prices or the Dow Jones or GDP growth is due to the president is full of shit or stupid or both.
I want to continue this. I want to continue this because I think there is a lot to look at that. Patrick, I'm going to end now, not because I want to, because I'm just trying to get it off the hour, under the hour. I just want to thank you for joining me. I thank you that we can do this, and we will continue to do this. I want to do this all year because there's a lot to discuss. It doesn't mean that we agree, but we are trying to have a good conversation and then be able, but not afraid to say, okay, I want to look at that. Let's come back and have that discussion. I'm going to play us out, but I just thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful day tomorrow and on what you're up to. And I will speak to you soon. All right. I'm going to play us out.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
Cheers, my friend. Don't care. Don't worry. Bless you. Bye.